existential crisis. How are you today, Lily Valor?
I'm pretty good. I'm here. We're easing our way back into drawing. I took a couple days off, but now we are back and it feels good. How are you?
I am awful. Today sucked. This week sucked. Last week sucked. And I am going to jump off a bridge. I swear to God, if one more thing happens.
Wow. Well, I am sorry. And is there anything I can do? Should
Absolutely
I leave?
not.
Do you want me to leave?
That would make my
Would you feel
day.
better?
I mean, that would make my day better, but again, the parole officer, I have certain
Yeah,
obligations that I need to meet.
right. The contract.
Yeah, the contract.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'll honestly, last week was rough. I had my downtime. This week has been pretty good. My temp is like at a 6, but it like I don't know. You know, you ever had that point where you're at like in life where nothing bad has happened yet.
But you're apprehensive and you're waiting for it any minute now.
like something just not great is gonna happen, and you have like things in place, like you have all the like tools and steps and everything to go like, okay, it's fine. If something ungreat happens, we have all the things, like we have our to-go bag, we have emergency water, there's a flashlight, there's candles, like we're good to go. We have some canned soup up at the top, and like everything's ready. But you still go, God, I don't.
I don't want it to
I
go through this.
I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with this whole
Yeah.
scenario.
Right.
So that's where I am right now at the moment, currently.
Yeah, you're basically at a very weird crossroads, which is kind of like limbo,
Hmm.
but there's no heaven or hell, it's just hell.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I
Yeah,
totally get it.
in your own hell as well. I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's one of those things where like I'm also at a 6,
Hmm.
but I feel like there's a looming something. I don't know, like a looming like 2 that's like hiding in the shadow of the 6. It's just waiting for the right moment to pounce.
I, t-
Isn't that anxiety?
yeah, I think that is. I think we just both. I think
We
we
just
both need
clinically
medication.
described. Well, I'm situated.
I am not medicated, and I live in a state where it's difficult to get the kind of medication that Lily gets. So,
My apologies.
I'm not sorry. It's not your fault. Don't
Yeah.
apologize. But but you know,
We keep it moving.
yeah, we keep it moving. If you bury your depression, uh,
No,
it doesn't.
no,
It goes away.
no, it doesn't.
No,
No,
it's still
no.
there. It's still there. Lily doesn't like it when I give bad advice that young impressionable people could possibly follow and listen to, and she's right.
Mm. Hmm.
Uh, she's the bastion of good. Can I call you out on something today? 'Cause-
On the podcast?
on the podcast, yeah.
Okay. I think I already know what it is, but you can go ahead.
So everybody, if you're listening to this podcast, Lily, I've known Lily for less than a year. Like slightly more than 6 months. Uh, Lily, Lily and I have talked pretty regularly. We've established like this, like I don't want to say friendship.
It's a
I
co-working ship?
I describe it as and I do genuinely feel this. I describe it
Oh
as
no.
like when you're kids and you meet somebody like on a playground, and you go like, "Oh, what's your favorite color?" Red, and they go like, "Oh, my favorite color is red too." And then y'all are just stuck with each other until you graduate like high school because y'all like
Wow. Yeah. I see that.
it was like, how did y'all become friends? And like whenever you tell the origin story, it's like, I was on the playground and we both like red crayons, and and it just and they just never
And now
went
I can't
away.
get rid of her.
Yeah, they just never went away after that. Um, but I say this all that because Lily boldly attacked me today in public.
I loved it. I savored every second of it because you know what? It's been a while. And we were saying that lately that we've been going through this period of like weird emotional supportiveness.
Yeah.
And so I had to break it a little bit. I had to, and it's been a while. But
It,
it's funny because like I don't. There was the only other person was God. I don't think he was really listening.
that's true. It's true.
And so that's why I think it was even funnier because I was like, no one's paying attention to this at all.
And then like friend of the show, Julio came back as I'm like just yelling at Lily.
Honestly, that was super funny. He didn't even
uh,
question it though that much.
uh, yeah,
Friend of the show.
uh, that's it. We had a busy day. I didn't get to address it. I wanted to call you out about it on the podcast for no real reason.
BDS. It's
Um,
alright. It's for the lore.
yeah, for the horrible lore, since fifth grade.
Since fifth grade, the red crayons.
Yeah, since fifth grade, the red crayons.
Oh no, it builds.
Um,
Should we turn
so
this into a graphic novel? Oh, sorry.
another part of the PPP project, another inside joke that for the lore, but
Anyway,
a topic that I think is worth discussing. I'm sorry. Talking has been rough for me today.
you got it.
Um, but Lily, our Lily Valor, has just completed a major commission that she's been working on for what, a month, 2 months,
Yeah, 1 month.
a month. And now she's broken the dark clutches of working for money. And she's able to work on an artistic project without the need to deliver it to somebody for compensation. So I think it is a perfect time to ask Lily, what's up? What, how you feeling?
Well, I do feel pretty good about finishing the commission, I will
Mhm,
say. I did a lot of pieces, not a lot, because, you know, my drawings take forever.
mhm,
But I did a lot of drawing for stuff that I wasn't gonna keep, I guess, which is fine. Like I think I'd rather have it in someone else's home, but at the
mhm,
same time, it was kind of hard to constantly be under this pressure of like it needs to look good, and I also need to come up with something. Um, because with personal projects, like sometimes if it's not sticking, you can kind of like quit, or like take a break. But like
mhm.
I had to finish it.
Yeah.
I had to finish it in not a ridiculous amount of time. There were no deadlines, thankfully, but just out of respect.
Mhm,
Um, but besides that, yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good. It was nice to just, yeah, getting paid is cool, but after a few of them back to back, I was like, man, I miss just like the pure joy of just sitting here and like drawing whatever and like not worrying about it looking like someone or something and um yeah. So, I still have to finish this piece for a friend of the show, Brittany.
mhm.
Um, but there's no pressure here. Like she didn't commission me for this, and she didn't want anything super specific that I had to follow. It was kind of just like, I mean, it's a gift, so I have a little bit of freedom with it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I think I want to take a break from commissions for a second here, just to revive my creativity, and then we'll go from there.
I think that's a good idea. I was talking to a friend of the show, Julio. Once he's finished his busy schedule, I'm hoping we can lock him in as a guest.
Nice.
I know his rates are a little high for us, but I think we can work out a friendship deal.
Yeah, pinky
Uh,
promise.
yeah. But I was telling Julio that he is the definition of a professional artist, as in like he has a workflow for drawing for work that is
Hmm.
super like I get it.
Yeah.
Like he uses certain tactics and techniques and they're all like I gotta get this done. I gotta get it done in a reasonable amount of time. And he, whether it's using certain types of reference or posing or taking pictures of his hand, like or like whatever it is to get it done more efficiently, he does it. He does it really well, and I think that's a skill that like. And at the same time, he's also really exceptional at still finding time to do his own like personal projects.
Hmm.
So I think he's found a really good balance between doing things for money which is in the same realm as art, but also doing things that he personally enjoys, which is also art, and like not letting the two like intermingle very like not letting his professional relationship with art ruin his like
Right.
creative endeavors with art. Even if he's not like necessarily doing like the big major projects he wants to. And I think it's a really good example of somebody who's figured out that balance because I think that balance is very hard when you start doing the thing that you're good at for money, but you still want to do it creatively. Um,
Right.
Especially when you start selling it as a service, like oh I can do this for money, and it's like but
Yeah.
yeah.
I do respect how he is able to kind of juggle all of those things, like the different
Mhm.
projects he's working on. I think for me, it's like I I think now that I'm planning on starting another personal project, if a
Mhm.
commission comes up, I will probably work still on the personal project,
Mhm.
kind of in the background of the commission. But I
Mhm.
think in the last few months, I've just been fully focused on the commissions, like one after another,
Yeah.
that I, in a way, like didn't have a chance to even like concept or start a personal project in the midst of all that.
Mhm.
And so I definitely think if the trend continues this year, I will probably have to find some sort of similar balance. And I might have to pick his brain about that because, yeah,
It's it's
it's not that it's easy by any means, but like
mhm.
for him now that he's working on like different books,
Mhm.
for him he's like I'm trying to do a page a day or whatever. Um, I feel like it's easier when you have that kind of metric, whereas like I
Yeah.
don't know what my metric is or like how
Right.
I would go about doing that.
Yeah. Because you can't do like, oh, I'll do $1,000 a day.
Yeah, like how would I count that? Like,
Yeah. It is hard. I know I was talking because I don't draw, but I write for money and also do it in like recreationally in my spare time. But I also think I think there's also a hidden factor of like financial stability. And if
mhm,
you are in a state of financial like instability, then that work for money starts to be a lot more
prioritize.
yeah, and like it's like because there are moments when it's like, oh, I have a free day, maybe I can draw for fun or write for fun. It's like you have bills.
Yeah, you should just work more.
Every day you have fun is another day you could be making more money. It's like, but what if fun
Fuck.
can make money,
That
you
is
idiot?
such a painful reality.
Yeah.
It's so hard to break that like transition though.
Yeah, it really is. And so what I have to do is like if there are periods of like finance and like I freelance, so there are definitely periods where there's like, oh, there's more money coming in, woo. And then there are periods like there's less money coming in, woo.
Mhm.
And sometimes I have to like prep for those like slow periods by like saving up and adjusting during the good periods. But also when it comes to personal projects, like I'll have to go like I can't work on this fully right now, So I'll have to do like an outline or a plan or something where it's like I can jump on this again in the future when that space opens up, but it's definitely a thing where it's like, oh, I'm not able to make this a priority right now because I'm doing this in a manner to like feed myself. And
Right.
in and until I have enough food on my plate, I can't work on it. So if I have a free moment, it's either to it's either to like, oh, I want to work on this in the future, so let me do this, or or it's just like, all right, well, I can't work on this yet. Let me reorganize like the financial planning stuff. And until that becomes less a priority, it's just that's just the ebb and flow of it. And it gets difficult to plan around that sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. It's hard because you can only plan so far,
Mhm.
and then at some point, like, there's too many variables that you like can't really juggle all of them at once. I
Mhm.
think it's natural for things to have to be put on the back burner.
Mhm.
I think it's just sometimes discouraging when it's been there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's one of those. I mean, we talked about it before, like privately, but about like forever projects,
Mhm.
like on a cork board or something like that, where like you're like, oh man, I'll come back to that, I'll come back to that, and you like kind of never do.
Mhm.
But I think it's also one of those things where regardless of how much time has passed, like as long as that thing is still there on the back burner, you can come back to it.
Yeah.
Um, I think what I find hard about that is like at the same time you only have so many back burners.
Mhm. Before the
And
stove catches fire.
yeah, before there's just too many things and like you just can't spread yourself that thin. So
Mhm.
it's like once you are able to kind of pick from that pocket again, you still have to prioritize certain projects over others. And
Mhm.
like, the decision making just keeps getting more and more complex the further you go. And
Mhm.
so I think there's only some part of it that can be planned, and then there's some part of it that you just kind of have to be willing to face without any sort of preparation, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like you
sometimes,
never know when you're ready until like the moment comes and you're either ready or you're not.
yeah, that's also true. And it's a rough thing. I think an issue I sometimes have if is like there'll be projects I want to work on, but if a concept or idea or something comes to me and I think, oh, this project probably has more financial incentive, then there's a part of me that wants to like abandon the current project because it's like, oh, well, if this one has a higher chance of me like benefiting financially from it, even if the other project might be more like creatively fulfilling, then it's more important for me to hedge my bets on the project that I feel is
Profitable thing.
yeah, that's more
Yeah.
like financially like uh peek behind the curtain. Like like I remember one day I was talking to Lily privately and I was saying that I want to draw. And I think he said something to the effect of like go draw, and I was like, but it's not making me any money. And I was like, so I feel bad doing it because it's like it ain't making me no money. I can't keep doing this. And then but recently I've been doing a lot of like in my spare time I've been working on a lot of like programming projects and like coding and stuff. And a part of me feels and I enjoy it, but I definitely enjoy like writing and drawing like more. And it's been a fun thing, but I think the thing that's made it easier for me is that coding projects have this inherent like, oh, well, you can make more money with this, or like you can get a pretty penny if you're decent at this. Um, and it's like you could get a normal job. You could be you can be normal if you develop this skill and society will respect you and acknowledge you because you could just be like, oh, I know how to program, and people can go like, oh you, oh you yeah you benefit you're not you're not trying to be an art person or something like that.
Oh yeah, you benefit society.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. You're not like, and when you tell people you do, like it's like when you tell an older person like, oh, I do computers. Like, oh, you genius, you master of the modern language. But if you tell an
Right.
older person like, oh, I do art and write, they're like, oh, you dredge of society, you leech, you.
You lazy lowland person, go get a
Uh,
real job.
oh, how much money do you make with your art? Like, oh, not a lot. Of course,
More than
not
you
a
could
lot.
make with your art, okay? You don't even make it.
You struck,
You know how much your art sells for? $0.
struck a nerve with Lily.
I was so calm and peaceful when that moment happened.
Had a bit of a flashback moment
You know those imaginary haters I always come up with? They all appeared all at once.
They weren't imaginary anymore. But yeah, but yeah, and there's a
The thing is, okay, wait, I
mhm.
have a thought on that. And the
Shoot,
thing is,
yeah.
I feel like you prioritizing money making endeavors over the art is
Mhm.
because you're in a situation where you have to be that way to keep yourself afloat. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like that doesn't reflect your relationship with art itself,
Yeah. I
right?
agree.
It's not like you hate it and you're like tired of doing it. Like you just literally can't and like you have to feed yourself. So
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
just yeah. But the thing
I
is, I think if you're
mhm.
once your financial situation kind of like smooths out,
Mhm.
I have no doubt that you'll go back to it, you know? And like I don't think that any of these like projects that you have going on are forever projects in the sense that they're just gonna sit there and forever be untouched ever again.
Mhm. Yeah, and that is true. And I think it's a hard thing to reconcile because there is always that tug and pull of like, oh, I want to do this, but like, what's the future look like with this? Like,
Yeah.
especially because like if there was a situation I was making like a ton of money and everything was settled and student loan people weren't like listening to this podcast while checking my bank account every 5 minutes, then we'd be it's all right, student loan people. There's nothing there,
So real.
but like if there was a different
Literally, if someone
situation.
robbed me, I'll be like, I will help you look. I don't know where it is.
I was like, yo, you looking for my money too? Let's find it. Let's work together. We'll figure this out. But but yeah, there's always that nagging sense of like, how creative am I allowed to be without me thinking like, oh, but money though. What about money? But yeah, and I think that's kind of like the general vibe. But I will say though, and I told this to a friend once, because I've been freelance writing for probably like 10 years now,
hmm
12, 13, I don't know. I'm old. Um,
Mm,
old enough to say that. But
fair enough.
something that something that really helped me when it came to these creative things is that like, ah, man, I must like, I like this. And even in bad situations, I like it. Even in stressful situations, I like it. Even when it doesn't bring me money and I need money, I like it. And I think that
Yeah.
makes me, I think that is what makes it feel okay. Is that like, ah, man, on my worst day, there's something that I like, and
hmm
and even despite all the stressors and sad things and the student loan people knocking at my door and peeking through my windows while I sleep, like like even with those things happening, it's like, oh, well, I still want to do it. I think the thing that would have made me sad is that when I, the thought of like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not worth thinking about. Um,
Right.
but
Would you
yeah,
say so? I feel like what you're describing basically is passion, right?
yeah,
Like you care
really.
so much about the thing
Mhm,
that like you will do it, like you're willing to give to it without getting anything back in a way.
mhm.
I think that's how I am with stippling. Like I think, do you remember a while ago I was like searching for my origin story
Yeah,
and
that's
I
a
never
fun,
found it?
that's a funny arc.
I was so distraught, like genuinely. I was like, why do I do this? And why can't I stop?
Mhm,
And like, why am I the only one? Not the only one, but I felt like the only one
mhm,
out there doing it. There's obviously other stippling artists. But
mhm,
for a moment, before I realized they existed, I was like, wow, why am I doing this? And why can't I have gone down the digital art arc
mhm,
and have gotten, why didn't I get Procreate and all these things that everyone else has, and like how
mhm.
come I ended up here? And I don't think I will ever really find those answers, which is kind of a fun place to come to. But I
Yeah.
do think a lot of it does come down to passion for the thing. Like a lot of people ask me how I have the discipline to take my time with these drawings or to even draw in this way. And like
Mhm,
I don't really know. I don't know. It has never bothered me really.
mhm.
I like it. I like it. So I do it.
It's so simple. And I remember, it's funny. I remember when I was a young art lad and a young writer lad. This is before the X. Um, I remember looking at YouTubers and artists and writers, and a common question they'd get is, "How do you do it every day?" Like Kim Jong Il, rest in peace, was a
hmm
was a big one because his whole thing was like, "Oh, how did you get so good at art?" And he's like, "I just did it every day." And a common thing people would say is,
How?
how? Yeah, how do you draw? How do you art every day? And he looks at, and a lot of his responses is like, "What? What do you mean how? Just I just I just wake up and draw every day. There's not a how. There's not a. I didn't have to like make a deal with anybody. It's just something I wanted to do.
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
drink. I had to drink like some sort of specific concoction to make this happen.
I didn't have to go to school that said you have to draw every day to draw every day. I just
Yeah, I wasn't like
wanted,
gulping potions.
yeah, I just wanted to draw every day,
Yeah.
and he just did what he wanted. And I remember thinking that and going like, holy shit, I suck. I don't want anything because
Oh no.
which isn't true. It was just me taking the very extreme response to what he said. But I think I now I'm at the point where
There's some truth
yeah,
to it.
it is
Yeah.
because there are times when it's like you play like not to call you out. Lily finished her commission. I'm calling you out. Lily Lily finished her commission this week and she took some time to relax and play The Sims.
Yeah. For the first day though, I felt bad about it,
Right.
which is which I knew was gonna happen.
Hmm.
This always happens.
Yeah.
I'm like, for my own health, because I'm responsible.
Hmm.
I After I finished the commission, I was like, okay, my slate is clean. I have to relax.
Hmm.
And in a way, it's like I had to fight the little demon in my mind that's like, you should work on the next thing. And it's like, no, I'm not going to. The next thing can wait. I have to take a break. And it is hard. The first day, I always feel terrible about it. Like,
Hmm.
by the time the first day that I took off, at the end of the night, I was like, wow, I did not do shit today.
Hmm.
And I'm very thankful that my husband was like, good, I'm happy that's the case. And I'm like, ugh, I'm like, I should have worked on something. But then, like, once I get to the second, third day, I'm like, you know what? I needed this. I needed
Hmm.
this. And at some point, maybe not everyone, I started feeling the itch again to, like, start drawing.
Yeah.
Like, the first day and a half, I, like, didn't think about it at all. Mentally detached, cut the thread.
Mhm.
And then by the third day, fourth day, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to return.
Mhm.
And so now I feel like I'm in a better emotional state to like resume where I left off, which was basically this drawing.
Right.
Um, it's like it's just really important to, I guess, recognize your limits, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I could just feel that I was starting to get burnt out a little bit. And it wasn't necessarily from like I'm tired of drawing. The
Mhm.
drawing itself is fine. I was just tired of working on projects that had a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you just have to like relieve the pressure a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta air out. You gotta chill. You gotta. I told.
It's like when you're like you've been like jogging and you're at some point you're like, dude, my feet hurt.
Mm,
My feet hurt so bad. It's like, okay, sit down for a second. It's fine. It'll be fine. You can
mm.
finish your run. You'll make it back home. Just like let yourself rest for a moment.
And it's really really important. You know, and um I feel like the other side of this coin is that you do eventually hit that Kim Jong Yi moment where if Kim takes a break for a week, when Kim gets back into it, also rest in peace.
Yeah.
but when Kim gets back into it, he got back into it, and I'm not saying he did take a break for a week, but if that situation never occurred, he had he already built into himself those habits in that system where he still enjoys it, whether he does it every day or if he stops for a month, because
Hmm.
it's just inherently a part of him. I had a situation where um me and a friend of the show are working on a collaboration project that involves writing, and I was telling him that um I was telling him like as soon as we get going, like it doesn't matter how long it takes to get going. And I was telling him very confidently, which is that as soon as we get going, I'll be done in a matter like in no time. Because I was just like like I know how I write. I've written a lot. I've done it for years,
Hmm.
repeatedly. Like it's not gonna take me that much time at all. And I'm very and I'm very confident in that as a fact because I've just done it a lot. And I'm not saying it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good because I'm amazing. But but I'm not even gonna say it's gonna be good or perfect. But it's like, yeah, I know I can do this and I can do it quickly. And whether I do it every day or I do it in a week from now, it's just I don't know. It's it becomes like etched into your bones. This is a really fucked up way to describe it,
That's
but
okay.
but it becomes like it does become a part of you in this weird way. Um, and it doesn't. You don't have to do it every day. You don't have to start at like 8 years old and do it every day for 20 years. And if you break one day, you're ruined. Like the streak is broken, everything is undone. The
The
Duolingo
streak,
bird
not the streak.
comes out of nowhere and deems you unworthy and take your pencils away. It's not that serious. It is a real thing though, where like if you just build on it and you do it enough regularly for like several hours on end, it does become a point where like no matter how many breaks you take or how you can just like you just it's just in you now and it's just a thing that you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. About a year ago, I had a friend ask me how I developed the discipline to sit here and draw.
Mhm.
And I was like, to be honest with you, I don't know if that was really what I did. Like, I didn't sit here and was like, I have to draw for the next 6 hours. I mean, I
Mhm.
do that now because it's like my life. But at the
Mhm.
time, I at the time I was just like, I'm just gonna draw until I don't feel like drawing anymore.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, it was like an hour, and then over time, over the next 2 years after that, it sort of just kept building. I never got tired of it. I continued to stay inspired, and I do think part of it is that I take when I do take breaks, they're really hard breaks. Like
Mhm.
I don't even like kind of do art during those breaks. I do not do any art at all during my breaks. Like it's a full like detox basically. But when I am working on art, it's extremely focused and concentrated. And then when I'm not working on art, the detoxing is extremely focused and concentrated, you know? And so then it allows me to keep bouncing, I guess, like back and forth
Mhm.
in shorter time periods, I guess. But an analogy that I thought of as we were speaking was like when you're driving, you're accelerating when you're moving forward, and then you see a red light, and so then you slow up and stop at the red light, and you wait for the red light to turn green, and then you go again.
Mhm.
You know, you don't like kind of tap on your brakes on and off the whole way to this red light. I mean, some people probably do, but you probably shouldn't do that. You know, we just brake. We just brake till we reach that point. We wait for the right moment to keep going, and then we do. And then you accelerate at that point. There, you know, I think a lot of people get kind of caught up in the limbo of the situation.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. I think people just get caught up in the limbo and like indecisiveness,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I guess to bring it back to like the projects that you have kind of on the back burner, it's like
Mhm.
as long as you have the intention of like coming back to them, you know, and
Mhm.
reminding yourself of that, you know, like every time it kind of maybe comes up, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna finish that. And then months later, you might look back on it and be like, shit, I didn't get a chance to work on it, but I am gonna finish that.
Mhm.
And like I think obviously a lot of people can say that, but I think it's, you know, the main thing is meaning it.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of people suck.
Okay.
That's unnecessary. That's unnecessary attack on random people. I'm sorry. Some y'all don't suck. It's just y'all have your own struggles, and you're not at fault for that. It's not your fault.
Yeah. And you know,
Um.
obviously there's so many nuances to everything we're describing,
Mhm.
but it's just one aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's two perspectives, and they're both right,
Yeah, and
and
if that's what you needed to hear in this moment, then like cool.
yeah, and if you think we're wrong, you're wrong. Shut up.
Amazing. Really
uh,
good deflecting the haters.
I look. You you can't appease the haters. You have to violently attack them, and
Right.
it's the only thing you can do to grow.
We don't commit violence here, by the way.
That is a lie.
Side note, side note. What do you mean? The worst would be like I would shoot a rubber band across the room, maybe.
Mhm. Deadly act of violence. Um, man, I was fired up and I had something to say, but it's very
Oh.
hard to plan out pages and draw
Oh, yeah.
and hold in a thought on what I'm supposed to say. So I'm sorry. Um,
Don't apologize.
uh, not
Talking and drawing is a much harder task than most people realize.
it really is.
Which, you know, it's good practice, I think.
You.
I don't think it's a bad thing because it has taught me to think through my thoughts. I can do it internally, I mean, like I don't have to do it out loud, but like
Mhm.
it has allowed me to like getting better at talking out loud while I'm drawing has also helped me to think deeper thoughts while I'm drawing in a way.
Mhm.
Like I can tackle those thoughts a little bit easier whenever once I hit a part of the drawing where I don't have to think about it too much and I'm
Mhm.
just worried about like throwing down values and like just following the guidelines that I put down. Obviously, working on an anime scene is a lot easier compared to the commissions I did.
Mhm.
Um,
Lily thinks
But
anime is easy. Quote that.
I don't think anime is easy. I think it's just easier to draw
You heard her.
with dots
Anime.
than realistic things.
Anime's easy, no effort. No.
You don't need discipline, you just need passion.
If you're an
No, you definitely need
animator,
discipline.
you're not a real artist. Lily 2024.
No! No, I have mad respect to animators. I
uh,
think there's a parallel between animators and stippling in the sense that you are slowly building the thing over time into the thing that it will be. That was so cryptic for no reason.
I was gonna let you go off. It was a
No, I
good.
was so vague and like nonsense. Um, oh yeah, I think there's a parallel in that yeah, it takes a long time and you have to kind of build it up over layers and layers of your work.
Mhm. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Stuff takes patience. Stuff takes time. That's really all it comes down to.
Yeah, you impatient children. Like it, it takes time.
Impatience is struggling.
Although I get it, I definitely feel impatient on a lot of things.
Me too.
Uh,
Me too, but then being patient usually works out, which
uh,
is like kind of ironic, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, but, but I need money now, Lily.
I feel you. I feel you.
Please
I
like,
feel
comment, and
you.
subscribe.
Help.
For love of
Should I start
God.
crying? Should I start crying?
No,
Should I
no.
start crying and then take a selfie for the thumbnail?
Lily, what?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was, I was about as problematic as Lily's ever gonna get.
Oh man. That's just the
uh,
state of reality right now.
oh
You know how many
man.
videos now that I've seen of people doing that? I can't. Honestly, yeah, never mind.
Can I? Can I? I don't know. Look, we can pull out of this topic, y'all.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
We can delete this
Sorry.
podcast. No, 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 no.
I have so
Cause
much compassion and sympathy for people who are going through things.
I get. Yeah, that's true.
It's just so clickbaity. It's so clickbaity, it hurts. Okay, anyway.
Do you want me to give context to this?
No.
Okay.
No.
The loud
Just
no.
know, just
Uh,
know, just know that when you need a shoulder to cry on, just call me. Don't fucking post it on social media. Just call me. We can work it out. I'll talk you through it. It'll be fine.
Lily's
Yeah.
becoming aware of how the internet works and
Dude, I honestly never paid attention. Never paid attention this much until I guess recently. Well, I mean, it makes sense because I'm like
uh,
online now. But
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's a it's a part. I think if you want to participate, and look, I'm not gonna say this is true. There are people who find success without having to do this. I feel like if you participate in this space, though, you have a higher chance of being successful if you analyze and see what works and
This is the
either.
SEO coming out of you right now.
Yeah, I mean it's the market. Like I was when I was talking to a friend of the show about a writing project, I started going on like the book, the book talking, like the book TikToks in the Instagram like authors and seeing like what are they making and like what's popping off and what's being well reviewed. And I noticed that a lot of them are marketing like, oh, I wrote this novel. about that's inspired by like Pokemon, or I wrote this novel that's inspired by Lord of the Rings and Avatar: The Last Airbender, and or like I wrote this novel about like video games, more serious and things like this, and they're all some version of the things that we're nostalgic about, like when we were like kids, and
Mm-hmm.
us wanting kind of like an adult version of that now that we're older, and or something that's a
Yeah.
little bit more serious. That seems to be kind of the play. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but if you want to make something that you want to market to people, you might want to go like, oh, maybe I need to throw in a Pikachu or something, and
I
like X,
definitely
Y,
am
Z.
not going to do that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Pikachu. It doesn't even have to be you following into that
But like it
thing.
culturally
Yeah, but
fits in with the zeitgeist right
yeah,
now.
game
Yeah.
like Aaron from Green Gum said something like very offhandedly that I think made a lot of sense. Like on a random Game Grumps episode, he was like, "Oh, if you want to get popular, make a parody of something that already exists. Don't be original." Like he didn't say it. He didn't say it in a glib way. He was just like, "Hey, if you want to pop off, like reference something that already exists. Don't just go cold because you need a touch point for people to find you. And you can't just go my original OC unrelated to anything because I'm the first one to ever do it. I mean, you can do that, but
Right.
then how are people going to find you? Because nobody's looking for your specific thing that is the first thing that exists. It has to be like, oh, this is a take on, even if it's like, oh, this is a take on Shakespeare, or this is a
Mhm.
take, like whatever it is, like you doing a take on something or acknowledging the inspiration behind it just gives people a touch point to go, like, oh, I get that, I
Yeah.
understand, yeah,
I think yeah, to go off of that, I think a lot of those kind of things require context.
yeah,
And like okay, using like this drawing as an example,
mm-hmm,
it's like if you know the context of this movie or like the studio or the animators, then
mm-hmm,
then you'll look at this and be like, dude, it's crazy that you just drew those dots and like I
mm-hmm,
recognize those characters. It's like whenever I drew the little Totoro things for Inktober, that was received really well because
mm-hmm,
people recognized the characters and then recognized that I had drawn them
mm-hmm,
using dots, right? And that communicated to more people, that made sense to more people than, for example, Icarus,
mm-hmm.
which not that it wasn't received well, like people were impressed, but I don't think it emotionally hit people the same way it did for me, being the one who made it, obviously.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I think there's definitely a difference between doing things purely for the algorithm or for trends or whatever. Like
mm-hmm,
there's definitely a lot of value into taking a thing that is interesting to people already and then like kind of refreshing it in a way that people have never seen before. It's not that they've never seen this character before, they've just never seen it in this way, in your way.
yeah, and I wanna point this out because I think because because in my heart of hearts, in my heart of hearts, and I know Lily doesn't believe this because that would
Mm.
imply that I have a heart, but in my but in my heart of hearts, I do genuinely feel that we have a lot of friends who are very creative and they are in a space where it's very hard to be seen. And I think understanding the methods in which people are seen is so important because I'd rather have a friend who has a touch off point that increases their chances of being seen and then they can do their own thing than
Right.
them going like, oh, it's year 5 and I'm doing my own thing and I hope at some point something happens. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I
Yeah.
just I want you to do that and also be able to eat for the love of God.
Yeah, there's this artist that have followed for several years, and she does watercolor.
Hmm.
And she recently did this portrait of Inuyasha.
Hmm.
And I've actually never seen her do anything anime related, so I didn't even know that was something she was into.
Hmm.
I still don't know really, but it was such a beautiful, beautiful painting. And I was like, wow, Like, oh, as soon as I saw it, number one, I knew it was her who painted it. Like
Hmm.
before I even saw her name on it. And
Yeah.
then second, I immediately knew it was Inuyasha. Like just those two things happening simultaneously, like created these like fireworks in my mind
Hmm.
of just like, wow, that is a super cool piece that I like really am about. Um, I kind of like that idea. One of my other friends draws digitally, and he did like a he has a very particular kind of like style of drawing characters, and
Hmm.
he made a digital painting of Sailor Moon.
Hmm.
But like again, with that one, immediately I recognized it was Sailor Moon, but I also recognized that it was him who had painted it.
Hmm.
And like being familiar with people's work obviously helps. But at the same time, I was like, wow, that's really refreshing. Like I didn't look at it and was just like, oh, here's another painting of Sailor Moon that I've seen a million times. I was just like, oh, that's Sailor Moon, and I recognize that, but also it like looks like his work, and that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. There's an artist named um it's like Madeline E, or but she goes by Maddie, and she does these beautiful landscapes. Has awesome brushes. Uh, and I only know her as a landscape artist. I only know her like doing landscapes and fantasy art. But if you go all the way back in her timeline, all the way back, keep scrolling. If you think you've gone too far, you haven't gone far enough. If you go all the way back, you will see her doing anime digital art, and like, and now for years I've only seen her do digital landscape stuff. But for a while back, she did like anime art, and it was really good. And then she just moved on to doing landscapes. But there are people who follow her. It's like, oh yeah, I found you from the anime art. And now she's built a whole audience based off just her fantasy stuff. But I think I'd hazard to say that a lot of people, one, they probably like her just because landscapes are a familiar thing that people enjoy. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people found her because they're like, oh, I remember you doing anime art in the past. And then that gave her that little groundswell of jumping off point. You only need like a handful of people to
Yeah.
like hold you like you once you get like a small foundation, it's like a snowball. Which is why it's
Hmm.
called a snowball effect. But like, but once you get a handful of people that you can just hold on to desperately with all your might, you can you have a higher chance of doing the thing that you want to do, and that's
Yeah. But I
yeah,
think that holding on comes from like emotional connection. I
yeah.
think that people don't realize like I think sometimes people try and like hold on, but like don't like they just hold on for the sake of holding on. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you have to give them something to hold on to
Yeah.
and like some sort of sense of identity that you have. That's just you. Like you only you can do it or, do it that way, I guess. Your style or your interest or whatever. There was
Mm-hmm.
someone I was talking to a while ago who I mean, I guess a lot of people say this, but were afraid of posting their work on Instagram because they didn't want people to think that what they genuinely enjoy drawing is just them trying to fit trends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things I think where there's nothing wrong with doing those trends if you do your own take on it. Like that's the whole point of, like if someone's like, Lily, you drew a Pikachu and everyone's drawing Pikachus right now. And I'm like, I felt like drawing a Pikachu
Yeah.
independently of the fact that there's a bunch of Pikachus happening right now. And I did it in my style in a way that I have never personally seen it before. And that makes me happy, and that's fine. And you can say what you want. But if I want to draw this Pikachu, I'm going to draw this Pikachu.
Yeah.
Just do what you like. Just do what you like.
Yeah, and if you hate Pikachu, fuck you. So, sorry,
No,
this is way.
no. But I kind of agree.
Yeah, at the end of the day, do what you want, and whether even if you do it to get more views, then that's doing your thing for more views. You're not.
Yeah, just be real, just be
Yeah,
real about it.
some of the artists when I was getting into art and I was looking at it from the business side, some of the people I like admired the most were people who were like, "Oh, all right, you do anime art. That's really cool." And then you follow them for a while. It's like, okay, I get it. You making your money, and like a part of me was first I was like another anime artist, but then I saw like their followers or Patreon. I was like, oh, you pay rent, like do you like? It's a
Yeah, but
business.
I
Do
think
you
that's where like the community
like?
comes into play, you know?
Yeah.
Like they something about them, you know, has garnered the attention of
Hmm.
people who now like to hang around in their circle, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that's cool, you know, do you. Maybe that's not my circle,
Hmm.
but that's, you know, and maybe that wouldn't be my strategy of getting the circle, you know,
Hmm.
however these people do it. And that's fine too. There's, you know, that's one of the great things about art. I know like it sucks whenever work gets in the way and life gets in the way, but it is one of those things where like it is always there. And yeah, in a way, it's like the art is never finished. It's just abandoned at some point, you know?
That's so sad.
I know. It's not a lot sadder than I meant for it to be. You know, it's not that art gave up on you. You gave up on art.
Jesus Christ! Like, who hurt? Who hurt you?
Crap, this didn't go. This didn't go that like I thought it would.
You quitter. You.
I think sometimes people feel so discouraged by the idea that like something's getting let down. Like art doesn't I was gonna say art doesn't have feelings, which like sounds even worse, I think. But
Heart doesn't care about your feelings.
art doesn't art doesn't have feelings. You don't have to worry about hurting its feelings for like not being around, you know? Like it'll just be there. You can go back whenever. And I think for me, I really like to relish in the feeling of choosing to go back to it and being in the space where it exists.
Hmm.
Regardless if I'm feeling shitty about my art, if I had a bad sketch day, like it doesn't matter. I am so happy to be in this space that like nothing can get in my way.
And y'all, she
And there's
has.
no amount of discipline or whatever that can bring you to that point of joy. Like you have to get there yourself.
That's true. And I just want to add, y'all, Lily has terrible sketch days. They are awful. It is it hurts me to watch her in
Oh
that
my
kind of
God.
shape.
Damn. Damn.
The sketch is not even bad. She be going, she be going through it. Like she.
It's not that bad. It's bad, but not that bad. It's a little bit crushing depending on the day. Yeah, you know, we'll hear about that soon enough once I start concepting this next piece.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get to see. Oh my God, are they gonna see Sketchily?
No.
Like,
No, but we can talk about it after the
okay,
fact.
okay. Schedule like of all the Lilies that I've met since fifth grade, Sketchily is definitely in my top three.
No, I really don't like who I become. I don't like it. I lose composure. I have so much composure, and
she's
it just bleeds out of my toes.
she's so unhinged. She's like she becomes insane. Like like
It's like a werewolf under the full moon, but just like me under the sketch moon.
it's just so full of
Okay,
anger.
for context, the reason why
Uh,
is because I spend so much time rendering and not a lot of time sketching. That
mm,
sketching is much harder for me to do.
it's true. It,
But you
it,
know, we're gonna go into 2024. We're already in 2024.
we're gonna go back in it. We're gonna circle around and come back in 2024.
Yeah. You know, it's like walking into a place and you're like, I didn't walk in here with enough vigor. Let me try again.
Mhm.
So you gotta like cross the street and cross again and be like, all right, now I'm here. Um, what are we talking about?
We were talking about a bunch of stuff, but I just want to bring in Sketchily because
Oh yeah.
I
No,
love
scheduling can't be live, but we
uh,
can talk about it after it happens.
scheduling can't be. Oh man, that makes me so happy. Y'all can't y'all can't witness the degeneracy that is scheduling.
It's hard.
It
It's
really
hard.
is. It really, I'm scheduling
I
right
also
now.
don't use digital tools.
That's
Just for the
true.
record, I not a lot, not a lot at least. But like I yeah, I'm just used to paper. And also I don't really have the space to like pull out my tablet and
That's
do
true.
that. So I yeah, And so sometimes I wish I could like it'd be nice to liquefy. Honestly, that's the one thing I would really love if I could just figure out a good digital setup for myself.
hmm As
Liquefy would
somebody
be so nice.
as somebody who's using the lasso tool literally at this moment to sketch out this comic panel,
Mhm.
I feel you.
Nice. Yeah, wait. Tell me how that's going.
It's
I'm looking
going
at it now.
it's going pretty well. There's I can spoil this. So
Yeah, who's gonna know?
yeah, no. So in the graphic, I know I know this is a writing trope that I have in my writing since like high school, but I always put in a story within a story for no fucking reason,
That's fine.
as like a narrative.
That might be, do you think that's your signature thing?
Uh-huh.
Like, if
Uh
I read your work in like 10 years, is that gonna still be a thing?
Probably
You
I
think?
don't know, cause
Mm-hmm.
I remember like in high school we were working on a comic together, and we had like a flashback. And
Who?
then, like me and my friend who were writing the comic together,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like yeah, like all four of us got together and we wrote a comic together for like our senior project. This had nothing to do with class. This had nothing to do with school. We just agreed before we graduated we'd make a comic together.
That's
Um,
beautiful. I love that.
and in the comic, my friend and I who were writing it together, we had a flashback, and then it started with a flashback, and then in the flashback there was another flashback.
Oh no.
And one day we went because my friend and I were writing it, and the other two people were drawing it. And I remember we went to the artist like, and we met like before school started, and he was like, so I was drawing the flashback, and we said, no, this is another flashback. And he looked at us and his eyes went like bug eyed. He said, there's another flashback in the like he was so upset. Like, he was like, y'all did too, and I didn't realize this from the writing perspective because that means he had to do two, three sets of character designs
Oh
for
no.
three different like time periods of characters,
Right.
and
Ah,
I wasn't aware of this because I was like 18 at the time and knew nothing about the art process for these things that I were making, but I was like, but I noticed that like now I keep putting flashbacks in stories, and it's become a thing where it's like I have to stop doing this. I have to.
I don't mind flashbacks.
I think they're fine. It's just there's a matter of like, am I doing this because I think it serves the story well, or I'm doing this because this is how I explain things in
Uh,
the narrative, and I need to know. And if I'm just doing it because it's my fallback plan and not like a good explanation for it, then
mhm.
I can't justify it.
Do you
Then
see
I
it as like a shortcut to provide context?
exactly, yeah, it's a shortcut
Yeah.
to explaining like something when
Yeah.
sometimes like a flashback isn't needed. Sometimes you just be like, yeah, when I was 7, snake bit me, instead of going like
Dun dun dun.
yeah, instead of going like 7 years before the start of the story, hiss the snake. It was like y'all didn't need all that.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it just depends. But in this story, there's a essentially a parable that's being told where there's a talking cat, and the talking cat tells the story of this knight who had a sick mother.
Sick, bro.
Uh,
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
and so in order to take care of his mother, the knight decided to kill people, to fight. And so he started entering these wars, and he started murdering people. And he get injured and he'd get hurt, but he'd always bring his mom back money. He'd buy her a house, and he gave us the finest doctors and took care of her for years. And his mother was never happy. And one day, he gets frustrated and he asks his mom. And he tells his mom, "I've given you all this stuff. I fought for you. I've killed for you. I've done all these things for you. And how come you're not happy?" And the mom says, "The only thing I've ever wanted is for you to be safe. And it breaks my heart that you go out and risk your life to take care of me." And the talking cat that tells this story says that sometimes the only thing that the people who care about us want is for us to be safe. And that is a story that is supposed to come back into this, circle back into this main narrative later
Mm.
on.
Hmm. That is really cool.
Thank you.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
So, what part are you drawing now?
So I'm drawing in this little sketch, which is which is me very lazily drawing this because it's been
As long as as long as it makes sense to you and you can come back,
yeah. So
that's
I
all.
was drawing like him in like a pose, and he's gonna have like armor here and stuff, and he's like in a warrior pose, and this is the sword, and there's gonna be like blood dripping forward, blood, and behind him, all this back here is money. I'm gonna have gold coins and everything, and there'll be a house. And these will be all the things that like he acquired like for his mother as he became a warrior. And then in this scene, he'll
I
be
love it.
he'll be like, here's a little head. He'll be on one knee, and the other knee will be down here. His hand will
Your
be
your sketching and concepting phase
here.
sounds way healthier than mine. You're, you're like, there's a little knee down here. It's gonna be some stuff over here. Kinda good enough. And then
Yeah.
there's me, and I'm just like, nothing looks right.
And his little grandmother with a big head and a tiny body, because old people shrink. They do. I don't know why, but old people shrink. And this is when he goes like, "Why?"
Amazing.
And she's like, "I don't
Look
understand."
at that. Speed draw.
And then we're gonna do one final panel where you do sad, sad mom. She's not gonna have eyes because old people don't open their
What?
eyes.
Honestly, it reminds me of well, you don't play Stardew Valley, but
Mhm,
there's a character named Evelyn, and she's like the town grandma.
mhm.
Um, but her eyes are also they're just lines.
Yeah, yeah. It's the Brock from Pokemon Syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's give her a nose. I'm gonna go back and fix all this in post, but look at her wrinkles, because old people have wrinkles. And
Love
and
that.
give her, I don't
Well,
know.
Magnus.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, I'm almost on this page.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I finished this little section on the drawing of this balcony thingy that
hmm
these folks are standing on. And I didn't expect to really get through that today, but here we are. See, I took a really good break and now I'm back in full force. Oh, you put me full screen. Okay, it's right here. This
yeah.
is the spot I did today. This whole
Uh,
area here.
you know what I like about your art, Lily, and I'm trying to say this while drawings, and you know I'm not bright, and my brain can't do two. It can barely do one thing, let alone two.
Take your
two,
time.
two things. But something I like about your art is something. This is something that I really respect about you as an artist, and I know you hate because I'm being nice to you.
Here we
Um,
go.
but I feel like you've reached a point in your art that it takes a lot of people a long time to reach. And I say this because it took me a long time to reach. But one, you settled into your style, and two, you settled into the confidence with your style. And I know it's not always the case. Confidence, like all things in life, wavers. But I know you're confident in your style because that bitch takes a long ass time to do. And nobody who's not confident would take that long to do something unless you
Honestly,
know it's the right thing for you.
yes. Honestly, I think that's extremely valid. I know in the end, if I sit here and put these dots down
mm,
for long enough, it will turn into the thing that
mm.
I imagine. There is that sense of confidence. I don't like to talk about it too much because it sounds almost egotistical.
I feel that. I feel that when I talk about writing. I'm my biggest fan when it comes to writing.
I think the thing is, I have been doing this style from the beginning
Mhm.
without realizing that I was doing it because I
Mhm.
didn't have a lot of external influences on my art.
Mhm.
You know, I like really, I don't know how common or uncommon it is these days, but I feel like I was very fortunate to grow up in a bubble where I didn't have a lot of people telling me what I needed to do in art. Um, yeah. I think it's okay, I'm trying to think of it in another way. But it's like if you want to be if let's say your parents want you to be a doctor,
Mhm.
there is going to be a path that they are going to try and put you on to make that happen for you,
Mhm.
right? They're going to have input, they're going to have opinions on what direction you should go, what path you should take. I'm really thankful that I didn't have that sort of thing with art specifically. And it didn't come from my parents, it didn't come from anybody I watched on YouTube or anything like that. Like I luckily was able to develop my art practice in a bubble where I genuinely just did what I wanted and what I liked for a long period of time.
Mhm.
That now I've been able to hone it in and focus on certain techniques or um, develop better skills in certain areas while still maintaining the style. Because at this point, it's like ingrained into me. You know, I think it's sometimes like not like a misconception, but whenever people say like find your style, I never found my style. It
Mhm.
just
Say it.
evolved over time.
I thought you're gonna say the classic line. It found me,
No.
and everybody goes, this character. No one goes, I just go, because,
Okay.
because I'm a hater.
Yeah, it's all right. You're
But,
allowed.
yeah, but no, no, no. I think that's beautiful. It's crazy how you missed like the Proco era of art.
I literally skimmed right by it.
It's so insane because like the height of the Proco era is when I was just getting into art, and there was that transition. Shout out to Proco. I don't think he's bad or anything. He just marked a sudden,
It's
like
a
a
certain, yeah,
yeah,
there's different avenues of art, and that's just another one.
yeah. But the thing that the Proco era did was like it inspired like a certain um, it inspired a certain like what's the word I'm looking for? It inspired this certain like change
Yeah.
where a lot of people were like, oh, in order to get good at art, you need to work on your anatomy or do draw a box or like follow these courses. And it really changed like the landscape of how people thought what people thought was like the right way to do art. And
Yeah.
like a lot of people started going like, what style? You idiot. You don't find style until you're good enough.
Right.
Like draw like gestures, 1,000 gestures now. Like, and it just changed the landscape quite significantly. So,
Yeah, I think there's some value to that sort of atelier style, I
hmm
think. But whenever people consider it like the end all be all of art, that's just simply not true.
Yeah, like a big inspiration for me is manga, and I ain't gonna lie, a lot of my favorite mangas got dog crap art. Like, yo, read the first chapters of Attack on Titan. Woo! Look,
Mm.
whoo, that, hey, one of the most successful anime series of all time. Very incredible writing, in a lot of different ways. Great twist. That art though was a struggle early on. But I always liked manga art because it was done quickly, week to week. It uses just black and white and markers and inks and tones, and there are a lot of neat tricks that artists have used and learned over the time to get the point across more effectively, and they do it by themselves. And a lot of times they have assistants. Don't at me. Yes, I know, but a lot of times, like they do, especially when you're doing it early on and you don't have the luxury of assistance, you have to kind of build it yourself. They learn a lot of techniques to make that easier, and a lot of things like anatomy and a lot of like features and things that like they work on over time as they work on their manga series and they grow with it. And that's something I really admired. So I always kind of went like, I just need to be good enough to get the point across, and then as I work on my art and tell my story, like I can get better as I settle into that. And I always, and so when a lot of people are like, "Oh, you need to work on this," I'm like, "Oh, shut up." Like, you want me to be an illustrator? I could care less about being an illustrator. I want to
Yeah.
do my art and tell my stories the way I want to, and that requires me to build a different set of skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but that's something only you can really figure out for yourself.
Yeah, and a
Like no
lot,
one's gonna
yeah.
know what that process is or what it means for you except for literally you going through it and making that decision yourself.
And yet, so many people are happy to give their opinion on what you're supposed to do.
So many people just love it.
Just like, oh, you stupid idiot. What if you did this?
What if you also did something else? Like
Maybe.
leave.
Maybe your art wouldn't be dog shit if you
Hey,
did what I was doing.
hey, hey, hey.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
Who are these haters you're talking about now?
look. I've had a rocky history with art. No, I've had a great. Nah, I was gonna say I had a great history. I was like, that's a
It's
lot.
all right. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it comes and goes, you know.
yeah.
But that's
But
how it is, you know.
yeah,
It comes and goes, and that's just
it
how the
comes and
cookie crumbles.
goes. It comes and goes, it ebbs and flows. And just like life, we're about to flow out of here. It's time for our weekend Wendy's wrap up. Tell
Oh,
me,
I thought we weren't doing that anymore. Not the Wendy's. Not Wendy's.
Jonathan,
Mendy's.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Wait, is that a guy? I think that's
Well,
a
I don't.
Disney actor.
Oh, is it? Okay, never mind.
Wendy herself is gonna have to claw herself from whatever state she's in and put a stop to me. But file the cease and desist. I dare you. But Lily, how 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 do your how did your session go this today? I'm sorry.
This the session was a little. The drawing session was great.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
All right. This week was today's
What about
episode.
your session?
My session was great. I actually
Okay.
I finished sketching out my page. I'm actually pretty proud of it. Shout out to
Yeah,
this
you started. You got a lot done.
shout out to this nice butt here. I never get to draw a nice toned butt, but
We
second
like
time,
some cheeks.
yeah,
We
yeah.
like some cheeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Male anatomy is beautiful anatomy. Also, this upper body is a mess. I'll figure it out in post. But
Don't worry
them
about it.
cheeks.
Don't worry about it.
But like all sketches, it's okay to be a mess. Because that's what post is for, and that's what refined lining and rendering. But today was a good day. I
Yeah, sometimes you just
actually,
gotta take a little extra time, you know? It doesn't need to be done right in with a sitting. We'll come back to it, make it better over time, week
it,
after week.
and you'll be there. Probably
We'll
not,
be
but
here.
if you are, we appreciate it. Uh, that's it for me. I think that's it for Miss Lily Valley. You have anything else to add, Lily?
I do have one more thing to add.
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, go for
Are we the best in the world or what?
it. Yeah, we're the best in the world.
See you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.